So, how was your day? Any doubt from the previous discussion?
No.
Everything is fine? Okay, good. That is my main motto of this discussion is to you understand the concepts. That's the main thing. So today, as per our plan, we are going to start about discuss about the GXT 3.0 grids. So as you already know, in GXT 3.0 there are so many grids. Some of them are new and some of they are using existing, which was exist in the 2.5, and they did major changes in the grids performance wise and operation wise. So there are so many changes, and ultimately grid is using to display your data in a tabular form, and that data is coming from the server in the form of model, and once you'll receive your data, after that you need to display those information at your client side. For client we are using the grid to display all those information. Like suppose, and in that one we will we need to justify which grid is suitable, because there are so many grids, and as per our data we need to use the grid. We cannot blindly use any grid. First we just need to look out which grid is suitable for our requirement. If suppose I have very less information, few information, and if I am going for the live grid, there is no use. For that we can use the basic simple grid also. So grid is just a row and column, like as a tabular form, and there are the major differences between the GXT 3 dot, like GXT 3.2.1, 2.3.1. So these all are the previous grid types, and these are the new one. So previously the name is EXT GWT2, the version number. Okay, why I'm discussing about 2.3.1 is because that have the stability version. Prior also be that have the, but those are more better. That's why. And this is the, you can see on the tooltip is Sanchez GXT Explorer Demo 3.0.1. So it is containing all the newer version of the GXT. So once if we'll open this one, they have some different kind of grids. They are reusing the existing one, and also they are discussing, they added some new grids. So I'll try to cover up as many as, because it's even for me also be, there are some of the grids which are very new, like the request factory grid. Prior we don't have the request factory grid, but in the newer they added the request factory grid also, and prior they have the different way to use that one. So apart from these grids, there are also some more grids, tree grids, in the category of tree grids, and some more grids are there. Yeah, for the binding, and additionally there are some added some more functionality to for the grid, because most of the application part is related to grid. All the information which we are going to be displaying, and the basic example day to day which we are looking into our product is grouping grid. This grid is, if like I'll start with the basic grid from the older version. This is the just simple basic example. Here you can see there are the different columns. So different columns, and every column is containing some kind of informations, and how these information will be contained, and what is the process of using these all grids. So it's more similar to the normal grid and data which you already have the little bit information in as per the smart GWT. Also we have some more grids. So with the same, like there also we have this kind of basic grids where we have the ascending descending sort, and we can enable and disable. These are the columns which you want to look into this grid. If I'll disable this one, the symbol column will be removed from this grid. Like just uncheck. Now this, yeah, it's hide from the grid. Currently it's displaying, otherwise it will hide. So this kind of functionality is always there. But now how we need to create. So before we are going further for the code, I just want to know the grid is containing the information, and internally how is it doing the work is you need a one instance of a grid. Okay, so in the grid, how is it going to be loaded is first we have the grid instance. On top of that, the grid itself is containing into some other container. So we need to add that grid into the some other container. So we have one container. On top of that, we have the grid instance. In the grid, we have the grid view. So very first time when we don't have any rows, so how is it rendering? The prior is I know very well about the GXT 2.3.1. The internal structure still I am going and looking in for the GXT 3.0 version. The prior is like first is your container. On top of that have the newly added grid. On the grid we have the grid view, which is automatically provided by the grid. On that we are adding the view, like after that we are adding our column config, list of column config, this single column information. So if suppose currently in this table I have the 5 columns, so I need to create the 5 different column config instance. Okay, all this list of column config is just contain the information for the column, which kind of data will be displayed, which ID need to be displayed, and what is the name of column. So that column config will store those kind of information. And once we have the multiple column configs, then we'll create a list of column config, and that list of column config will be added into the grid. Okay, so till now you have some clarity. So I'll just show you one small code. There I'll explain you how is it going to be work. And this is here you can see. Here I have a list of column config. This is I created one list. The generic type is column config. You can create the.
There is nothing like integer type or
I'll discuss. Wait. I'll discuss later about this one also. So first we are creating the column config, and this column config, the ID, it always look on the basis of the ID. From the server when we are sending the data is it in the model form. So there we set the some ID I have the custom base model, my model, and there it will fetch the model value with the name. So once the model key is name, it will get the data from the name and value will be placed into the grid row. So this is the first column ID. So this is the name of this column. That's why as I mentioned it contains 3 different information. Even we can do the same thing over here also. And like actually this is the version of 3.0. We have the GXT 3.0. Otherwise I'll show you in my just a minute. So if suppose column So here have the constructor which is itself is containing the ID, name and width. So even here you can see whenever we are creating the column config instance, there have these three properties. So ID, name and width. ID is on what way, which property information will be displayed in the row. This is the name of the column name at the heading of the column, and this is the width. How much width is required for the column? Mostly we are concentrating about the dynamic auto size for that. So again I'll discuss. So there have the own separate method also be there. So here have the column configs. We created the column config instance with the name is column, and there have the own property also be. Like we can pass in the constructor. Otherwise we can pass with the methods also be. So this ID is the name, header is the like the heading, because here we are displaying. You can see the company. Company is the heading of this column. So this is the column name, and after that we are setting the width. So even we need the header. So it will always show set row header. Do we require that one? Then only we are. And finally, with the list of column config, we are adding this column. So column config, list of column config dot add this column config. So end of this, we once we
okay, here as it's saying here, only in first column we are saying okay, row header is true. For others we are not setting anything.
Not required. Once you will set for one, it will automatically get the property from the other columns.
If I
False?
one I will set true and another I will make it false.
No, it's not possible like this, because it will retain the same kind of this. Even I think so. We don't require this one. By default, column config have the property is true.
Okay.
By default, we have the property is true. Otherwise, sometime we need to grouping of multiple columns in a single field. That time we need to require that one. So here we created this list of column config with the 5 different column name is. First is company, second is the symbol.
You set the height of the header as well, right?
Yes.
Height and
Everything. Even we can set their X theme also. We can apply any X theme. Once user over the mouse there, then we can like this theme. Otherwise, even there are so many things, like in this column we are providing the ascending and descending sort. This sorting is the client side. Once their data is loaded in this form,
then we can.
yes. But in the GXT, one more feature is you can provide the set remote sort. The grid dot get once you have the instance of the grid dot set remote sort or pass the true. Once you will do that one, that time you will not going to be apply the client side sorting. That time it will work the remote sorting. In the remote sorting, like means is once the data is going to loaded, no, very first time it will display the normal sort, and next time when you apply the sorting, that time the data goes to the, like your request goes to the server. From the server get the sorted data and again load your grid.
Why that's for?
Because some of the places what we need to do is we are going to rendering some value, otherwise we need to directly communicate with the server, because values are going to be updated frequently. Otherwise, when you have the live grid, in the live grid we are displaying only starting top rows. Otherwise, in the paging grid, if you look at at the client side, we'll display the starting 20 records. But we have the millions of records for the next 20, 30, 40, 50, thousands pages. So that time if you will sort, that will sort for the single page, not the complete record. So that time you need to require the remote sort. Okay, we'll discuss later about this one, but just now I'll tell you the how the column configuration is happening. So here one more thing I want to just add you. If you need the sorting, so here itself for the which column you need the sorting, if in which column you don't want the sorting, so for every column you need to, like this is my column instance, columns dot set sorting equal, or in the bracket we need to pass the true boolean value. Then only after that this option will come. This option will be appear. And
by default it will come. If you set it to false, then only it will not.
Yes. I don't remember exact the default functionality. I think so. We need to forcefully, because usually what happens is,
what is the method name?
Set sort.
Do it in Eclipse now.
Yes.
Create an instance of config.
Even here I'll like, but as I told you, one more major difference is this. Here in the GXT, the new version have that quite difference. I'll tell you how we need to use the new version is.
Here we have to pass the model.
And wait, that's why I just want to. There are some new differences, so I'll discuss that. That's why I'm just first we'll discuss about the how we have I worked it. So first I'm going to share with you. After that we are going to be work with the newer version, because some of the places still I'm not be clear on that, because some of the places they added some new functionality which even I need to understand. But where I am strong, first I'll discuss that one, because that is the base. That is the which is the like core part. Okay, so that's why I'm going to be discussing about that. So first we have created the list of column config, and all the configurations whatever we apply, all those comes into this configurations. Okay, once your configuration is done, after your next step is the store. Okay, your store should be the same as the data which is coming from the server. That's why at the day when I'm discussing about the GXT 3.0, I told that time that was the tightly coupled. That was like, because like the model, like grid will understand only the same kind of models. It not be understand the generic models like the Pojo class. It should not understand. It have the set of standard. It will allow only that specific kind of model. You got my point, huh? So that store understand only that things. So we need to create the store. In that store we need to add the, from wherever we have the information, like in this example we have some stock related. Otherwise once we'll get the data from the server, in the server so once we'll get the data from the server, after that we again need to grid.get store.add our data, the model which is coming from the server.
So we have to create an instance of the list store. That's
list of column config.
No,
list store. We need to create this instance.
Okay.
Otherwise, if suppose like by default when you are creating the grid, there also we have one the instance, but you need to your like what kind of data will comes, you need to be specify that one. So that time you need to create the instance of the list store and add that, like add. Otherwise if you click like grid get, like we have the grid instance, so grid.get view.get store. So this sequence is so better we can create our own. So this is the way how they are writing the code, but I'm discussing mostly of that part where we need to do the work. So the another thing is the main thing which we required is first we need the one contained panel. So here they have the contained panel, and that contained panel is adding this grid. So first what we need to do, this is the step. First we need to create the instance of the grid, and in that instance we need to specify the store type, list store type. Now you are getting my point. What I want to say is, and the next second thing which you need to pass is column config, column model. With the column model itself is containing your list of column configuration.
List of column, right?
Config.
List
So
column.
that's why I discussed the list of column config. After that I discuss with the column model, because all the column have the same model. After that I am discussing about the store, and finally I am discussing about the grid. It's, you can say it's a reverse, but the way before creating the grid we need that resources. So first thing is we need to create the instance, and this grid instance itself is containing the reference of list store and the column model, and column model itself is containing the reference of list of column configuration. So once creating the grid, all these information are contained into the grid. And finally, and after that some more attributes and styles we can set, like set a style attribute, auto expand column name. Like as I told you, once we are removing hiding any column, that automatically can be expand till as per the browser size. So the border is false. So these are the small properties we can specify, but ultimately at the end you can see the cp contain panel dot add. So now is it clear? Very first we have the contain panel. In the contain panel we have the grid. In the grid we have the list store. In the store have the model, which is have the information, and that information will be displayed on the basis of column configuration. Clear, Mahesh, Ritesh? This is how. And once this cp get added into the grid is added into the cp contain panel. After that this cp can be added into, this is added into the r, okay, where is the main, which is from which class it's extended, layout container, any kind of layout container. This is the in the GXT 3.2.3.1 is the you can say is the, it will accept all kind of layout, that is the layout container. This is the one kind of container which contains all kind of layouts. So this is how. So once now the next question comes is, till now you have the clarity. This is the process which is in the GXT 2.3.1, 2.3, like you can say the prior GXT 3.0. Okay. So here one more thing which you are discussing about this. I want to be putting only on that row. Yes, about this line. Better is I need to discuss this one. This one is one. Both are same. There is no difference. Set renderer. Why I am emphasizing on this one is, your basically what we are doing in the application is, whatever the first I want to clear the rendering concept. What is exactly is a renderer, and what is the role of this one? The renderer is nothing. From the server we get the raw information. Raw information, I mean to say, is the information can be in any form. It may be the numeric, it may be the number, it may be the name, it may be the range, and it may be the raw value, which is not, but user always not be able to remember that thing. Like even in this demo you can see here all are the numbers in the change, all are the numbers. but who will going to specify these are in the -1, and how we are going to be identify this one is the grid, like red or green, who will be, because from the server we'll get the information, we are getting all the numbers, but we are not getting the green or red identifying. Who will going to be identify this one? Our render is going to be identifying this number. Suppose the same one is in the last one also. Here we are getting the numbers, like the value money 123.43. We are getting this value from the server, but in the suffix, who's going to add this US dollar? Who's going to add? The our renderer is going to add this thing. So how is it performing? So prior, whenever you are creating the grid, that time itself you need to specify the renderer. And where is that logic? That is the main part. That's why I am going to be showing you only the column dot set renderer. Okay, here we pass this change. This is the instance of grid cell renderer. Okay, this is the instance of grid cell renderer, and where is that instance is appear in this our code is this one. Excuse me. This is the, again I am repeating, this is the instance of grid cell renderer. Okay,
Yeah.
and this one will contain, this is just you, even you'll go with this, it's a kind of abstract class which have the renderer method, and that renderer have the some information. Very first time it get these information. First one is your type of model. Second one is the property of column config, like the name, like we specify now which display property will come. So this property will contain that information. So that's why even our next, you can see this double val equal to double model dot get property. This property itself have the name, which is the ID which we specified there at that column configuration. This property is containing that information. Again I am repeating, in the column configurations we have this ID is name, ID is symbol, ID last ID. So once you are using this one, that means is for wherever, like this change is applied for the change column. So this property itself automatically get the change ID value. So with this val, we are getting the value of that change. Once we'll get the value, so because even I apply the render, and how I'll get the value from there, this property is the property, for that you will get the value. So once you get the value, after that what you need to do is you just need to compare value less than 0, the color is red, style is red. Otherwise GXT dot a high content model, this is some more property, they are setting the some other values, and otherwise is a green. So this is the condition. Once you get your string is the style, and you can after that apply your style. So number dot format, we can format the value on V. After that we are creating one span title column dot get call by ID, and this complete, and it is returning. So what you need to do is you just need to pass the instance of this grid cell renderer and override the renderer method, and this renderer will automatically communicate with the grid. Once that value comes, it will render and place that value. That's why in that day presentation I told you it create the new instance for all the rows. But with the new concepts, this concept is removed, and now the new concept is flight weight pattern is going to be used.
Flight weight pattern.
Remember? So that is we are using. So this render, and here I have the one more is grid related. So here also with the currency dot format. So whatever the property which we'll get from the server, like from the column, and there that is will be changed to the as per the currency wise. Okay, na? So this is the basic grid example. Here we are not doing any additional things. And again, I'm just talking about the same thing. And if we go with the some basic grid example in GXT 3.0, now this is the 2.3. Up now we'll look at into the GXT 3.0. Fine, na? Clear? Any doubt? No. So with the same example, like this is the basic grid, and here also with both the demos are same, but only the version is different. So here also with the values are same, the change, the render also with the same, everything is the same. Here also with everything, all the values are same, the data also be same, but the GXT version is different. Okay, so how this is going to be performed in the new version? Okay, so now we'll look at.
Amit, can you please go with the render once more?
Yeah, sure. I'll again discuss with you regarding about the render.
Only that.
Render part.
No, render part and render is that same calling of that, right?
Calling. Yeah, from the starting, I'll again.
No, not starting. Only in that method. What is?
Okay, sure. Because again, I'll tell you. This is your column config.
Yeah, where you
okay.
Be setting the
Set the grid cell render. Okay. Here there have one method which you need to override whenever you are creating the instance of the grid cell renderer.
That renderer method we have to override.
Yes, this renderer method, it has these number of arguments. And why is this required? Because internally this renderer method is communicating with your grid. So you just pass the grid cell renderer instance, or internally that will communicate with this renderer. So what are these? One is your first one is it almost same whatever the model which you passed into your grid.
That
same model because has the same information. Now the second thing is the property of your column. Now the second thing is your column config data. Because
which column it is?
Yes, like suppose why I'm it's not the column config, it's a config data. So configuration related information it will contain in this configuration. It's not be mandatory to use all these fields, but the standard is the argument is you have to pass this one. But if you don't want to use, that's it. So this is your row index number, and the next argument is the column index, and the next argument is a list store of your model. It's not be using, and this is your grid reference. Some of that time when you are going to rendering, you need your value will be depending on to the grid other columns. So that time this grid reference is required. So everything, all the values are passed into the render. You no need to manually pass this one. That will internally communicate with the grid.
Automatically it will do whatever.
And you just need to do only this section and return the string form of value. Okay. Yes. Now how is it? At the starting, what we are doing is first with the model. With this model, we get the property type. Prior, as I told you, there is no Pojo class there. There is a kind of, you can say the mapping. From the map, how we get the value is once we'll pass the key, it will return the value of that key. So here also be the model, from the model get, and this is the property key value, key is that, and it will return the value of that. So in this have the value, and after that we are comparing this value with the 0. Is it less than 0? Then it is the red. If not, it's a greater than 0, then we are comparing with this and passing the green.
And we are passing the permanent.
And this is the style. This is the just style, because here we are setting the red, and after that we are converting this value into the number format and have the value, and after that we create a one span. In the span we are applying that style, and this return will return to the grid with this the rendered value. Now is it clear?
Yeah, it's clear.
Okay. This is again, I am going to clear this one. This process is into the GXT 2.3.1. Okay. Now what's your call out?
Then GXT 3
It's little bit different, which in the next few minutes we are going to start discussing about that one also.
Okay.
So now this is the actually again I'll open the UI. This is for the GXT 2.3 and the same UI, same in the GXT 3.0, same UI, and but the implementation is in the GXT 3.0. How does it differ? First thing is, whenever you are creating your column config, prior when you are creating the column config, there is no like the type for the column config. Even you can see over here, whenever you are creating the column config, there is no generic type for that. That's why you can pass any kind of, but here you just need to specify your model and with your other property. Just a minute. And your date. So this column config generic type is the model and date.
Which date? What is
I think you can specify anything, any kind of type data which will come into the column. What kind of information which we want to be like prior. Everything is depending on the model which is coming from the server, and we are not specifying any kind of data type for the column.
This is not data type, that is date, right?
Here we can, in this column config, we are passing the string kind of value. This is the string, this is the double, but this is the model, because now we are going to be providing the support of Pojo class. You remember, any kind of model which we can pass in this one, but that model, in the model also there has some set and get method. So that get method will return what kind of value. So here we need to specify the return type. Whatever this column will contain the type of data. Prior it's tightly coupled. That means is model itself is take care about that one, or what kind of data will be displaying. So that will be take care and display the information in that. So here manually we need to specify our data type for the column. Okay, and again the same here, prior we need to pass the ID, but here you can pass the method. Like I have one model, is the model name. Just a minute, sorry. Wait. Right. So here, as later we will discuss about the deferred binding. Through deferred binding, the stock property is my one model class, business logic class, and I have the reference of this class, and from there I am getting the property is name. Okay, this is the width, and this is the column heading. Clear? So with the new scenario, the complete structure of column config is like this. We need to specify the model type, whatever the model which we are using for this grid, this column configuration, the type of value which will be contained, the name instance of the column config, and here the property which we need to set. Like prior we use the id and id, id, name and width. So here how we are doing is id, it's not with id, it's directly using the projo method value,
That's nothing.
Anyhow we need one kind of property which we can correlate with each other. So there have the id, on the basis of id the value are going to be presenting. Here
is nothing but the name,
field name, exactly, the value. So after that the so that's why I'm discussing the both version is these are the differences, and you get the clarity how is it loosely coupled, tightly coupled, and how we are going to be pojo.
Mention the ID taken from that model class by calling that method, right? Or we can directly pass the.
Here at the top, as I mentioned,
directly do refer binding.
Deferred binding, through deferred binding. At the top you can see the stock properties dot class gwt dot create.
From there it is getting that.
Here
Stock properties there.
you can see that is the deferred, through the deferred binding. At runtime we are going to be initiating that model instance, and from there we will get the property and initializing for this column.
Methods, getter and setters are there.
Yes.
Okay,
So this is also be the.
If we mention it directly.
Yeah, that it will work.
That will also be work, but this will give you the light performance. So here are the last.
That stock.
I actually just a minute. This one here. Yes, stock property class. Here the name, the symbol open. So this is a value provider. Again, as do you remember? As in the starting discussion, as I told you, model key provider. Do you remember? Whenever we are using any business logic, and that time even Istvan asked the question is, can directly I can use the Pojo class? At that time, as I mentioned him, no, you can, but you need to specify the unique ID on the basis of that one. Otherwise, you need to set this annotation with the model key provider, label provider, and value provider. Do you remember, guys? So again, otherwise again go through with that presentation and you will get this one.
That stock one.
It's internally, this is your Pojo class, this is your, as I told you, at server you have one Pojo class, and that Pojo class is communicating with the something. Communication for that, actually your model will be communicate with this stock provider, and the stock provider internally is communicating with the stock. So your business logic is completely independent to your UI. But previously what happening is your UI is strongly coupled with your business logic. If you are doing any changes in the business logic, you need to do the changes in UI. If you are doing the changes in UI, you need to do the changes in the business logic also. Here, but you have the independency. That is, so this stock class is the Pojo class, but this Pojo class has this ID. You can see this ID, and here this class is referring that one, and on the basis of the model key provider is your ID, and the label provider is the name, and after that we are passing all the values in this one. So internally it's linked with your stock. So this one is the example from the Sencha, but internally everything is based on these three main properties. One is model key provider, label provider, and value provider. So this complete new concept will work on the basis of all these three keys.